Good morning. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, for this time we here are one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship, Morning Has Come, hymn number 1000 at the very front of your teal hymnal, and the words will appear on the screen. My name is Joshua Sellers. I use he, him pronouns, and I woke up in my human form again this morning. Currently, that takes the place of a white man in his late 30s with brown hair, and today I'm wearing my favorite multicolored mandala sushi robe. Our guest speaker this morning is Reverend Dr. Emily Melcher. Reverend Emily is a retired Unitarian Universalist interim and parish minister. She offers spiritual direction to individuals from her home on Whidbey Island, where she lives with her spouse Anders and their Old English Sheepdog, Teddy. We strive to be an inclusive community. If you are visiting this morning, please participate as you feel comfortable. You're also invited to stay and meet people during the coffee hour after service. If you are attending online today, hello, we see you. You're welcome to introduce yourselves in the chat. And I'd like to call your attention to today's after-service events listed in the insert in your order of service that you should have received on your way in. One of note is taking place in the Elmore Room at just before noon. The Social Justice Committee is meeting for an streamed online discussion of the atrocities taking place in the Holy Land. So we encourage you to keep that in mind. For more announcements about Kitsap UU Fellowship activities, please see our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. Let's now take a moment to silence any electronic devices that you don't need to be monitoring for our time together. And please join me in taking a few centering breaths. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855.
Good morning.
Morning.
So that opening hymn that we sang, Morning Has Come, is that one that you don't do very often? I promise you a more familiar one is coming in just a few minutes. Good job, right? I'm the Reverend Dr. Emily Melcher. I welcome you to just simply call me Emily. I am a short, well-marbled woman, just eligible for Medicare, so you can guess my age. I am wearing a clergy robe, a purple clergy robe, no less, and a stole that has these beautiful, what do you call them? Spirals, and on the back side, it has water striders, which also go by the name of Jesus bug, because they walk across the top of the water. And that's about all we're going to get about Jesus today. I have pink glasses, I have short, messy gray hair, styled each night while I sleep by CPAP. I hope that never gets old, you know, I just trust people not to remember it from one time to another. Our opening words are adapted from Christian de la Huerta. We must shine. We must shine now. This is the goal toward which we stretch, step by step, in our own time, at our own pace, as our beauty unfolds and our hearts open. We become gentler and more compassionate, yet brighter, more empowered and fearless. We have been holding on, holding back, playing small, hiding our light under a bushel. Enough of that. It's time to let go. We are needed now. We are needed now, all of us together, all those who feel a calling to be who we are to the fullest, make a difference, to give it all we've got.
We welcome Karen Hover to come up and light our chalice. Karen is from Maine. She is here to work at the Naval Hospital and support her stepfather in Port Angeles. She is a wanderer and appreciates the wide variety of spiritual expression supported by this community. Let us light our chalices together with these words by Nita Penfold. No matter what they tell you, let it be about joy. Let it be about the sacred, self-surviving, no, thriving, shining its way to the knowledge within. Let it be about blooming, the unfolding of the universe through you, because the story of you begins 15 billion years ago with the first flash of being. Now please join me in the spoken affirmation, which will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn 100, Peace Like a River, in the gray hymnal. The
And don't we need all of these things? Peace, joy, love, pain, tears, strength. And I bet you all of those things are present right now in our hearts, in our souls, and in this room. Some of us are carrying one or the other, and some of us are carrying multiple ones of these feelings. There is a legend that may have originated with the Cherokee people, and the version that I'm going to tell is credited to the Cherokee people, but I don't know if it's accurately credited. It exists in many versions, in many cultures. And in the story, a young boy goes to his grandfather to tell him about his anger at a friend who has done him an injustice. His grandfather listens and then says, let me tell you a story. I too at times have felt great hatred toward those who have taken so much with no sorrow for what they do. But hate wears you down, and it does not hurt your enemy. It's like taking poison and wishing your enemy would die. I have struggled with these feelings many times, says the grandfather. And he continues, it's as if there are two wolves inside of me. One is good and does no harm. He lives in harmony with all around him and does not take offense when no offense is intended. He will only fight when it is right to do so and in the right way. But the other wolf, he is full of anger. The littlest thing will set him into a fit of temper. He fights everyone all the time for no reason. He cannot think because his anger and hate are so great. It is a helpless anger, for his anger will change nothing. Sometimes it's hard to live with these two wolves inside of me, for both of them try to dominate my spirit. The boy looked intently into his grandfather's eyes and said, "Which one wins, grandfather?" The grandfather smiled and quietly replied, "The one I feed."
As a religious community, together we can do the work of many. By sharing in the sacred act of giving, we transform gratitude into generosity towards our mission. One way that our mission inspires us to act on our shared UU values is to share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of March is the Kitsap Black Student Union. If you'd like your offering to go to this month's charitable giving recipient, the Black Student Union, please use the envelope inside your order of service. If you need an envelope, please raise your hand and the ushers will bring you one. If you would like your offering to go to KUF, please put it directly in the basket. Instructions on way to make your gift, including a QR code, will be on the screen. Now, let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community with a gift of music from our guest pianist, Trish Butler, and soloist Kate Vikstrom, singing I Hope You Dance.
I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for they're worth taken. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some hell-bent heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Dance.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Kate. That was beautiful. Please rise and body your spirit to join me in singing our children up to their classes. The words for May You Go With Joy will appear on the screens. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. The first joy we have today is from Trey Jackman. This was submitted online. I appreciate Liz Roberts and Brian Watson for helping me after dental surgery, bringing me soup, and helping furnish our home. Cheers to good friends and good company. Watching from home, love you all. We have an anonymous concern for all of us who are separated from loved ones during these fear-filled and challenging times. And our final joy today is from Diane Stewart. Her joy is being able to see students and colleagues from 25 years ago as Vinland Elementary opened a time capsule that they buried in 2001. Seeing the accomplishments of fourth graders 25 years later was a joyous occasion, and having a good old teacher friend stay with us was fabulous as well. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share. Please join me in a moment of prayer or intention. Spirit of life and love, our hearts are overflowing with lamentation and longing. In this circle of care and compassion, we hold those who have shared their joy with us, for each shared joy is a form of nourishment for all of us. In this circle of care and compassion, we faithfully witness those who have shared their sorrows with us, for each sorrow touches our hearts, and we accept the call to lighten the burden of our friend. Please remain seated as we sing hymn 123, Spirit of Life, in our gray hymnal. The words will appear on the screen.
This reading comes from Mary Caroline Richards. But how are we to love when we are stiff and numb and disinterested? How are we to transform ourselves into limber and soft organisms lying open to the world at the quick? By what process and what agency do we perform the great work, transforming lowly materials into gold? Love, like its counterpart, death, is a yielding at the center. Not in the sentiment, not in the genitals. Look deep into my eyes and see the love light, figured forth in intelligent cooperation, sensitive congeniality, physical warmth. At the center, love must live. One gives up all one has for this. This is the love that resides in the self-love, out of which all love pours. The fountain, the source, at the center. One gives up all the treasured sorrow and self-mistrust, all the precious loathing and suspicion, all the secret triumphs of withdrawal. One bends in the wind. There are many disciplines that strengthen one's athleticism for love. It takes all one's strength, and yet it takes all one's weakness too. Sometimes it is only by having all one's so-called strength pulverized that one is weak enough, strong enough to yield. Love is not a doctrine. Peace is not an international agreement. Love and peace are beings who live as possibilities in us. Let's join together in a moment of reflection. Amen. The title of my sermon is called Feeding Joy. It may seem a strange thing to talk about feeding joy in a time like this. I'm guessing, like me, many of you spend quite a bit of your time in fear and grief, perhaps even anger, and that makes joy all the more necessary. Imagine that every thought you think is teaching your brain how to think. Imagine that every experience you have is teaching your brain how to see the world. Imagine that everything that happens in your life teaches your brain to expect more of the same, and your dominant state becomes self-perpetuating. That's how it works, friends, in a nutshell. Most of us have encountered someone who seems to be pre-offended. Anybody know someone like that? Their expectation and indeed their experience is one of perpetual disappointment or offense. Maybe you have a family member or a loved one who goes through life that way. Somebody out there does. Or perhaps you know of someone like that through a story you've read or a film you've seen. Now, it may also be that you, like me, are kind of getting into that rut right now, right? And need to get a little boost out of that rut of feeling offended all the time. So I invite you to take a few deep, comfortable breaths and focus on the person whom you know who is always pre-offended. Just a moment. Spend a moment with them in your mind and heart, and perhaps notice what you feel like inside as you do. And because lately in my life that person has been me, I'm just going to offer myself a little compassion here, a little love. On the other hand, some people go through life seeming to anticipate and experience joy. Can you call to mind someone who seems to you to be that way, to live in this joyful state? And I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing in a sense of pretending to be joyful. I'm talking about people who have a deep sense of joy that's with them all the time. Maybe it's you yourself, or a family member, or a loved one, or perhaps it's someone you don't know personally, like the Dalai Lama or Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I invite you to relax and take a few deep, comfortable breaths and focus now on that person, and perhaps to notice what you feel inside as you do that. Did you notice if anything shifted inside you as you shifted your attention to the person from the person who's perpetually pre-offended to the joyful person? The ability to shift from one felt state to another can be practiced and learned. And that's today's good news in a nutshell. The legend of the two wolves might lead us to think that a person who tends toward joy has been consistently feeding their inner harmonious wolf, while a person who tends to offense has been feeding their inner angry wolf. And that would actually be pretty accurate. What the grandfather's tale describes, based on observation and experience, has been confirmed by science in recent decades. Each one of us has two tendencies within us. One is primed for fight, and the other for calm and connection. It's not hard to understand why we're wired that way. We need both. The threat response is what enabled human beings long time ago to run from predators. The rest and connect response enabled us to power down, in a sense, to let go of our hypervigilance, to recuperate and develop cooperative relationships with one another. And I just dare say that that need to be able to respond quickly to predation is growing again in our culture. It's also true, though, that if we feed the reactive part, it comes to dominate. While if we feed the calm, connected part, we increase our capacity to live in that state. As the Cherokee grandfather told his grandson, the one we feed wins. Okay, it's in the autonomic nervous system, the system that regulates many of our automatic bodily processes, our pulse, our temperature, those things, that we find these two wolves. The sympathetic nervous system, there's no test on this, you don't have to remember it all, just to kind of give you the bearings, right? Or it's called the SNS for short, is the part that leaps into action in situations of threat, whether real or perceived, marshaling resources in the brain, heart, and endocrine system to enable us to respond to the threat. Psychologist Rick Hansen notes that much of the routine activation of the SNS is quiet and in the background, like maintaining your blood pressure when you stand up. The other wolf, called the parasympathetic nervous system, or PNS for short, is our system's natural resting place. It's the state in which we rest and digest, or care and connect. In this state, we feel relaxed, calm, connected, loving. Under normal circumstances, the SNS and PNS work cooperatively to keep us healthy and our systems balanced. But these are not normal times, and we are not living under normal circumstances. This makes it all the more important that we intentionally return ourselves to rest, to care, and to connection. Unfortunately, one of the things that neuroscience has shown is that our brains have a negativity bias, which is to say that the reactive, fearful side of us, the SNS, tends to dominate because of its essential evolutionary purpose. It keeps us alive by enabling us to react to threats such as a tiger running toward us or an ICE officer. While it's pretty rare for us to actually encounter tigers in our society, it is nevertheless the case that we do not live under normal circumstances, the kind of circumstances that allow for a healthy interplay of the SNS and the PNS. So some of us in here are apparently white. Some of us in here are likely relatively well off. Some of us in here are straight and cisgender. And I'm guessing that those of us in those categories or with that whole constellation have a lot less reason to be experiencing that fear response in these days. And what's our job then? To be of support, to be beside those whose lives are at greater risk than our own. See, I thought I would just extemporize a minute there, and I have no idea where I am. All right, so we live in these times of enormous stress and anxiety, and many of us live in a near continuous state of hypervigilance and anxiety, and that state becomes self-perpetuating because each experience we have creates or reinforces neural pathways in our brain, so that our brain functions in such a way that it expects and perpetuates the connections that we've already made there. Our brains and bodies aren't getting the rest they need, and our health and sense of well-being suffer as a result, as does our capacity to effectively care for those around us and for our world. For those of us caught up in reactivity, downshifting from that state to the calm and connected state requires regular and intentional intervention. And regular and intentional intervention actually shift our brains. Arguably, that's the most exciting discovery from neuroscience. The brain can and actually does change over time. This is called neuroplasticity. Of crucial importance is the fact that we can intentionally influence the direction of that change by what we do, by where we place our attention, and by consciously relaxing into a state of restful awareness. So both legend and neuroscience tell us that we are not condemned to reactivity and anxiety. If we're willing to do so, we can intentionally and directly feed the other wolf inside of us in order to create new neural pathways inside our brains, to rewire them for calm and connection, or to strengthen the calm and connection pathways we already have. And you know, right, we can intervene by doing yoga and meditation and all of these things. We can intervene by tapping. We're just sort of bypassing the discursive mind, the part of us that's always thinking, and going straight to our, straight to what's going on in our bodies. But how do we do it? In her book, From Mindfulness to Heartfulness, Dr. Elaine Doherty describes this as heartfulness. And she has developed a series of what she calls heart practices designed to do exactly that. She writes, while mindfulness practices typically foster non-reactivity through awareness of the moment, and other types of practices actively engage the limbic system directly. In other words, they activate and intentionally engage with life-generating emotion. Actively engaging the limbic system in a specific state trains it to better operate from that state. Compassion, love, gratitude, charity, and confidence, for example, all of these are trainable states. She goes on to say that heartful breathing uses the concept of heartful awareness to create the biochemical shifts associated with the desired felt state. In other words, it jumps in at the physiological level. You're not telling your brain what to think, you're giving it an opportunity to experience that. Since the brain does not know the difference between something that is happening or something that is imagined or deeply felt and something that is actually going on in present time, the shift to breathing a felt sense of a desired outlook actually shifts our biochemical state to one consistent with that outlook, and thus changes our perceptum and ultimately even creates a new outlook. To be perfectly clear, this is not about denying difficult emotions or realities. Indeed, Doherty's heart practices include cultivating compassion for whatever may be difficult for us. Rather, it's about changing our brains by shifting our attention to experiencing and deepening our experience of generative, positive, and life-giving states. I'm getting a little bit theology, neuroscience geeky on you today. You don't have to remember any of these names or anything, just I hope the broad message will touch you. So Rick Hansen is a psychologist, a senior fellow at the Greater Good Science Center in UC Berkeley, a New York Times best-selling author, and a skillful, accessible, and engaging writer and speaker. Along with Doherty and many others who study religion and brain science, Hansen has developed resources to help people make use of the information now available to us from neuroscience. I think I did this once with you before, maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I was here. So for example, just intervening at the level of your body, if you just say, woohoo, and throw your arms up into the air, something happens inside of you, right? It's not a permanent change, but it's a shift that allows you to kind of come for a moment into that place. Hansen notes that experience alone does not guarantee learning or fully rewiring the brain. In order to do that, in order for our brains to deepen these neurological pathways, we need not only to have the positive experience, the quick woohoo, but also to help it sink in. So he notes that because of the brain's negativity biases, our difficult experiences rapidly sink into our brains. The difficult ones, they just get right in there and they create that pathway, a neural pathway to the negative. But for our positive experiences to fully sink in, we need to do what he calls install them. And he's developed a practice for this, of course, they all do, which he describes of course, they all do, with an acronym. And his acronym is HEAL. H for have a positive experience, E for enrich that experience, A for absorb the experience, and the final step, it's an optional one and we won't do it today, is L, heal, link the positive experience to a negative one in order to decrease the power of the negative experience. And so if you're willing, I'm just going to guide you through those first 3 steps. The first one is to have or to recall a positive experience or state. Remember, your brain doesn't know the difference if you're recalling it or if it's actually happening now. So just take a moment and find one of those experiences inside yourself. Now, instead of letting that memory just pass, enrich it by savoring it fully, especially if there are sensory connections for you. What does it feel like? What did you see, hear, taste, or smell, or feel? What does it mean to you? What was new or different or noteworthy about that experience? I'll just give you a moment. And now just absorb that experience or memory in some way that makes sense to you. Perhaps seeing it flowing into you, or picturing yourself placing it in your heart, or simply soaking it in. Take a few deep breaths as you absorb the experience. When you're ready, bring your attention back to this room, to this experience, to this company. So we've just spent several minutes in this practice, but Hansen points out that we can do it in as little as a couple of minutes whenever we have a positive experience. Whenever we call one to mind, just give it a little time. Let it settle in. It kind of reminds me of that old song, Stop and Smell the Roses. How many of you remember that? It was like my high school days, so 50 years ago or something. The point is, it's important that we don't just move past these experiences of beauty, love, joy, or compassion, but we take a moment to let them really sink in. Neuroscience has shown conclusively that depth and repetition of experience, which Rick Hansen refers to as installation, are important to creating the brain changes that enable us to spend more time in that rest and digest state. But neuroscience has also clearly demonstrated that spending hours a day in meditation leads to profound changes in the structure of the brain. But those of us who are never going to do that, I don't know, maybe some of you out there do, but I'm not going to, we can really take heart from the fact that neuroscience has also shown that small changes add up and make a difference over time. Neural pathway for joy. Next thing comes along, neural pathway for joy, right? And those develop those, I mean, they're not really grooves, but they develop that pathway. So, if we would wire ourselves for joy, not least in times like these, when there are endless reasons to do otherwise, when there are very real threats, we need to turn our attention toward it again and again, letting it fill us until joyfulness becomes second nature, until joy becomes that endless song that flows on and on, even in the midst of our personal losses, our personal struggles, our fear, and the world's turmoil. So I invite you now to rise in whatever way works for you and to join in singing our closing hymn, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
After the service, please join us for coffee, tea, and treats. You're welcome to bring your coffee or tea and snacks back into the sanctuary to chat with each other.
It's a tall step up here. May love bless you. May love keep you. May love lead you out and bring you home again. May love bless you. May love keep you. May love lead you out and bring you home again. And may you embody the light of this chalice and the love of this congregation wherever you go. Amen.